CBS News Miami.
And good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jim Barry. Welcome to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Here's a look at today's top stories, and we start by taking a live look outside. Had some afternoon storms blowing through, and maybe that's a good thing, bringing some relief after that heat advisory we had. Let's check in with next weather chief meteorologist and hurricane specialist Ivan Cabrera. Ivan.
And the weekend is here, and nice to see it here coming up on Saturday and Sunday. I think we have a good weekend underway. The storms have ended for the rest of today. A couple showers left over at this point here, but the storms have done their job, but we did have triple-digit heat indices. Now, the heat has broken for the day, and so we look ahead to the weekend with more rounds of thunderstorms in the afternoon, which can do this. I mean, look at the current temperatures across the area here. We're looking at 79 in Homestead, 79 in Miami. I mean, we didn't reach that number in the morning for overnight lows, so rain, cooled air. And when we talk about rain, cooled air, that just saps the atmosphere, zaps it from any additional storms developing. We do have a few left over up across the north. This is just some light showers here if you're stepping out, just kind of nuisance stuff, and the roads are wet. But flood advisory that we had earlier down in Homestead, that has expired, and all of the weather has moved to the north. Now, if you're driving on 95 or heading up towards Palm Beach County, keep in mind you're going into the weather as opposed to coming south where you're getting away from it here. So lots of activity still in Palm Beach. Forecast for the weekend, temperature still in the low 90s. It'll feel like about 10 degrees warmer than the number there. But then in the afternoon, we will have some scattered thunderstorms. Not everybody's going to see the rain, but a lot of the storms, what they can do, as you saw this time of year, is, even if it doesn't rain right on top of you, that canopy of clouds can really just help us out. Those outflow boundaries bring in cooler air from the thunderstorms up above, so we start feeling a little bit better in the afternoons, but still a hot one with afternoon storms for both Saturday. Sunday, I think we'll have a little bit less coverage, some dry air working its way in here. And then, of course, the big story for next week will be that tropical moisture that we're still anticipating here. And again, my hope is that most of it goes on top of us because the ground can take it. It is a severe drought in parts of South Florida at this point here. The question is, and I'll show you the rain accumulation, does that axis of the deepest moisture go on top of us or a little bit further to the west? That will determine what we get next week. For tomorrow, same deal. For Saturday afternoon, plan accordingly for your afternoon. Showers and storms, they'll maximize here across the Everglades and then widen things down. And then as we get into Sunday, a little bit less coverage here, so most of us will not see thunderstorms, and I think that will result in longer hours of feeling the heat, which again will be into the triple digits. Checking in on the tropics here, there's nothing that's going to organize the next 7 days. It's just this tropical moisture that we're going to be following the next few days. This is the best case scenario for the next 5 days, anywhere from 3 to 5 inches. That would be fantastic. But take a look at one of our other models, a European, taking the axis or the heaviest of the rainfall to our west. That is not good, and we need this rainfall, and hopefully the models will trend a little bit further to the east. All right, let's check your forecast for the weekend here. Rain chances again 40 to 50%, so pretty healthy still tomorrow. I think for Sunday the numbers will begin to come down as far as the rain potential. You'll see that there, 50 to 40, and then we'll ramp up the precip chances here depending on what that tropical moisture decides to do heading into next week.
Ivan, thank you. A tragedy at a Southwest Miami-Dade bank. 3 people, including a child, are found dead in an apparent murder-suicide. CBS News Miami's Peter Dench is at the scene in Southwest Miami-Dade with the details.
The Meadow Shopping Center here in Southwest Miami-Dade was sealed off with yellow crime scene tape as detectives tried to determine how this happened. Police say at 7:37 this morning, an on-duty Miami-Dade Police Hammocks District sergeant was driving southbound on 152nd Avenue and approaching Bird Road when he heard gunshots and then made the chilling discovery in the drive-through ATM lane of this Chase Bank. Police say the victims, including a child in a car seat, were in a minivan when a man pulled up in a silver BMW SUV and opened fire.
It appears that the female in a minivan with the child was pulling up to a bank behind me. I don't know what exactly she was doing at the bank. She was at the ATM line when an unknown subject pulled next to her in an SUV and opened fire, killing both the female and the child, and then killing himself.
I'm a mother and I just came from my granddaughter's show, so how do I feel terrible? Because I just came from my granddaughter's show that's 2 years old. So this touches me because I see all those little kids.
It makes every parent worry for their children's safety and, so on and so forth. And it really makes us wonder,
you know, the random guy in the street could turn at any moment, and we've got to be cautious of these things happening in the future.
So far, Miami-Dade police have not identified the three people or revealed their ages or their relationship. It's not known at this point what prompted this. Police do say they have recovered at least one firearm. We'll have more on this story coming up in an hour at 5 in Southwest Miami-Dade. Peter Dench, CBS News, Miami.
And new information now about a police shooting in Homestead. One person is confirmed dead. CBS News Miami's Steve Majori reports from the scene on what police say happened.
I'm Steve Majiri in Homestead, where police are investigating an officer-involved shooting that happened at this apartment complex here in Homestead. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement has now taken over since it involved an officer. We were told that a 33-year-old man has been shot and killed by a Miami-Dade County police officer. And as the state gets involved to investigate, Homestead police are also assisting with the investigation. Police tell us that the suspect was involved in an armed robbery incident 2 days ago. The man was taken to the hospital and then later died from his injuries.
I don't see nothing, but right now I take my dog outside. I don't remember what time it's about. I hear ba 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 ba.
And now coming up at 5, you'll hear from some neighbors who heard those gunshots and told us how startling that was for them. In Homestead, Steve Majiri, CBS News Miami.
A plant incinerator is blown to bits this morning in Coconut Creek. Chopper 4 over the scene of this implosion at around 10 a.m. It was done with a series of small explosions, actually. According to the Sun Sentinel, the implosion is being done to make way for the possible expansion of a landfill. And now to a developing story, an arrest in the case of a man who was shot and killed in Miami. Carlos Rosales is in custody, facing several charges, including second-degree murder. This happened Thursday morning along 7th Avenue and Southwest 5th Street. According to police, a girl was alone inside an apartment when Rosales broke in. Investigators say she frantically called her mom for help, and the mom called the girl's grandfather, who lives nearby. Police say when the grandfather confronted Rosales, they got into a scuffle that ended with the grandfather being shot. Unrelated to this case, Rosales was also booked on charges of lewd and lascivious molestation of a child. In France, President Joe Biden warned of current threats to democracy while speaking at an event to mark the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion. Ahead of his address, the president also issued a rare apology. CBS News Miami's Natalie Brand reports on this from Washington, D.C.
At Pointe du Arc Friday, President Biden paid tribute to the U.S. Army Rangers who scaled the 100-foot cliffs between Omaha and Utah Beach 80 years ago to neutralize German artillery, helping the Allies turn the tide of World War II.
When the Nazis cut the ropes, the Rangers used their hands, and inch by inch, foot by foot, yard by yard, the Rangers literally clawed their way up this mighty precipice.
In a speech on democracy, the president connected D-Day to supporting Ukraine's fight for freedom.
They stood against Hitler's aggression. Does anyone doubt that they would want America to stand up against Putin's aggression here in Europe today?
Earlier in the day, the president met in Paris with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, where he pledged continued U.S. support in Ukraine's war with Russia and publicly apologized to Zelensky for the congressional gridlock earlier this year that held up a critically needed aid package.
I'm not going to walk away from you. I apologize for those weeks of not knowing what's going to happen in terms of funding.
The president also announced a new $225 million assistance package for Ukraine as it fights off Russia's offensive around Kharkiv. Natalie Brand, CBS News.
And the State Department says the new aid package includes air defense interceptors, artillery systems and munitions, armored vehicles, and anti-tank weapons. But when we come back, a former Miami Dolphins star is hit with a lawsuit. The allegations against Xavien Howard. And welcome back to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. A former Dolphin star being sued for revenge porn. The lawsuit claims Xavien Howard leaked sex videos and photos that he made with a Jane Doe. She says Howard did not have permission to share them and took some of those photos without her knowing. John Doe also sued Howard, claiming that he texted him a photo of the football star having sex with his mother. The John Doe was a minor at the time. He claims Howard did it for revenge on John Doe's mom for refusing to get an abortion.
How traumatic is it that he receives a photograph that he views on his iCloud of his own mother engaged in a sexual activity. That's devastating.
Howard's lawyer did not reply to us, but told our news partners at the Miami Herald, quote, "We will be filing a response in court on Monday, but this lawsuit is without merit, and we will be vigorously defending Xavien." Now to the hunt for the Stanley Cup. We're now just one day away from Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. Chopper 4 over the Amerant Bank Arena in Sunrise early this morning. Look how it's all decked out for the big event. And today the teams take part in Media Day. Our Mike Cunio, Steve Goldstein, and Trish Christakis will all be there to bring you all the coverage. Look for their live reports beginning today at 5. And by the way, the puck drops in Game 1 between the Oilers and Cats tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Game 2 will be Monday night in Sunrise. And make sure you join us live at 7:30 tomorrow for our Hunt for the Cup pregame show. Mike and Steve will be at the Amerant Bank Arena previewing that matchup. And that is streaming live on our CBS Miami YouTube. There is much more that we're working on for you. Here's a look at what's coming up all new on CBS Miami at 5. A potentially life-saving tip as kids take to the water this summer, how the color of their swimsuit could play a role in their safety in the pool. That is CBS News Miami's Quickcast. I'm Jim Barry. Stay tuned for more news right here on CBS News Miami.